Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so we are here, week 1 of the NFL regular season. I know we've all been waiting a long time for this. Excuse me for not knowing certain wrinkles of certain teams. I try to keep up with every team in the NFL, but excuse me for not knowing certain wrinkles. Of course, I'll get a better grasp of this as we get throughout the season. I mean, I know everything up and down about every team in the NFC East, but it's still kind of hard to predict. I mean, you're going off of your gut. You haven't seen any team play in 2021. So we're really judging this based on what we saw last year and what we think will happen this year. But without any further ado, I'm going to get straight to it. Dallas Cowboys, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is the largest spread of the week. They're basically 7.5. Well, I guess you got another game with a 7.5, but they're 7.5 point favorites. The Buccaneers are over the Dallas Cowboys. This could be a game that could be ugly and not just, I mean, you see my Giants gear on, but not just as a Giants fan. You got Dak coming off of an injury, second injury. You got the Super Bowl champions. I mean, a super defense that they have there. I think that spread is just about right. I could see the Dallas Cowboys offense making a little bit of noise, but I don't think they'll be able to be as explosive as they usually will be this year, going forward. I don't think they'll be that explosive against a defense like this with the ferocious pass rush and Tom Brady also applying that pressure on the offensive side. I can see the Cowboys losing this game by about 10 to 13 points, but it doesn't mean that the Cowboys will be horrible this year. I really just think the Buccaneers are going to start off that well. So Buccaneers are going to take this game. Next game, Pittsburgh Steelers, Buffalo Bills. The Bills are 6.5 point favorites in this game. Again, I agree with this. I think that these spreads are kind of boring this year, and that's how they're pretty much set up. I mean, they've had all off season to think about this, or ever since the schedule has been released. And I definitely see the Bills being able to go and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, the Steelers, they still have some great pieces on defense. I like them bringing in Najee Harris. But the Buffalo Bills are a powerful, high-powered offense, and they've made some additions on defense. They drafted Gregory Rousseau, who I was a critic of, but from what I saw in the preseason, he's really coming. He's really showing that he's going to be a threat day one as a pass rusher. So I think if the Bills can give you anything on defense, along with what Josh Allen is going to bring every single week, yeah, this spread is about right. I'm taking the Bills to cover that spread. Jets and Carolina Panthers. This is a game that I think the Jets probably would be a much more competitive team if there was if this was a week 8 matchup, week 9 matchup. But since it's week 1, I'm going to take the Panthers. They're favored by 5 points. I'm going to say the Panthers win this game, but I'm going to say it's by less than 5 points. I think it'll be a field goal, a little bit more, a little bit less, but I do not think that they will cover that 5-point spread. Jaguars at Texans. Jacksonville is favored by 2.5. And this is only because the Texans are probably the worst team in the NFL, and you really can't see them winning much games. Trevor Lawrence is that guy. He's the golden boy. He's the guy that's been the number 1 pick ever since he's been in high school. So it's time for him to prove it. Go out and just beat a horrible football team with the Houston Texans without Deshaun Jackson. Poor Tyrod Taylor is in a horrible situation. I mean, as a veteran, I could see him going out to try to upset the Jacksonville Jaguars, which wouldn't be much. But I'm going to just go ahead and stay with the Jaguars this week and just say that they beat the Texans. I don't think the Texans will win more than 1 or 2 games this year. Going forward, Arizona Cardinals and Tennessee Titans. Tennessee is favored by 3. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Arizona Cardinals will beat the Tennessee Titans. I just think Kyler Murray, along with DeAndre Hopkins, along with the addition of A.J. Green, who basically just mailed it in. And as a Joe Burrow fan, it made me sad to see A.J. Green mail it in like that last year. but I think AJ Green still has a little bit more in the tank. They also added Rondale Moore. They still have a little bit of offensive line issues, but I like what the Cardinals are doing as far as the direction they're going in. A lot of people don't like Cliff Kingsbury, but I think the players that they have, along with Kyler Murray, I think that'll be enough week 1 to go out and, I guess they're underdogs, to go out and win against Tennessee. So I wouldn't really say, it's too much of an upset because they're only 3-point favorites. But I do see the Cardinals going out and beating the Tennessee Titans. Philadelphia Eagles and Atlanta. Atlanta's favored by 3.5. Now, this is a game where I've kind of gone back and forth. Again, I try to stay as unbiased as possible. As a Giants fan, I would want to pick the Eagles to lose every single week. But I did think that the Eagles had a shot at winning this game, and I still do think they have a shot. I mean, they only are 3.5-point underdogs, so they've definitely got a shot. Vegas believes that as well. But I do think at the end of the day, Atlanta's defense is awful. They're poor. The Eagles' defense isn't that much better in my opinion. So I just think it just turns into a shootout, and I'm going to take the veteran quarterback. And to me, I think a better cast of weapons right now that are proven over the Eagles. You got Calvin Ridley, you got Kyle Pitts. I just really think the weapons, along with Matt Ryan, are going to be enough to overcome whatever the Eagles offense is going to throw at them. I mean, Jalen Hurts, he can be a really good quarterback, but we have to see it, and it's not proven. So this should be a close game either way, but I think the Atlanta Falcons offense will be the decider in this game. So I'm going to pick the Falcons to win, and I'm going to pick them to cover the spread by 3.5 points. Chargers and the Washington football team. The Chargers are favored by 1 point. This is a really tough game because what's the biggest thing? I mean, the Chargers are traveling across the country. Now, mind you, they're coming from the West Coast, so shouldn't be that bad of adjusting to the time. They're coming from the West Coast, but they're playing against a ferocious defensive line in front of a crowd that's going to really be ready. And, I mean, you got your young quarterback who's going to be his first time playing in front of a crowd, in front of live guys, of a full stadium. So this is a tough one to pick. Now, the Chargers are favored, but I do think, and I'm going to run with the Chargers. I'm going to pick the Chargers. It could be my Giants bias speaking, but I'm going to pick the Chargers, but I will not be surprised if I see the Washington football team win this game. But I'm going to stay with the Chargers here. I'm going to say that this 1 point favor, I'm going to go ahead and say that they'll cover it. They'll get, they'll win by 2 points or more. But this is going to be a very close game. I do think that Justin Herbert will turn the ball over a couple of times because going against that pass rush and a stadium all the way across the country where you've never played in front of an NFL crowd, that's going to affect them, I believe. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Chargers will win. It'll be by a couple of points. Next up, I want to go to the 49ers at Detroit Lions. This isn't a game I'm going to spend too much time on. I don't think the Lions are going to be that good this year. I do think that Jared Goff is a little bit underrated, but I just don't think they have the tools right now to compete with a team like the 49ers with superior coaching, with pretty much everything. But I do think the Lions, by the end of this year, will be playing like a really good football team. So the 49ers are favored by 7.5, and they will win by at least the 7.5. So let's speed up to the Seahawks and the Colts. This is an interesting game because Carson Wentz is in a new environment with his old friend, Frank Reich, and they could put up some points. You're also going against the Seahawks, and Russell Wilson is never going to be a slouch. Seattle's favored by 2.5. I would go ahead and take that. I would go ahead and take them just covering the spread. I think they'll win by 3 points or more, but again, should be a fun, solid game to watch. It's always hard to pick these games week 1. Moving on to the Miami Dolphins and New England Patriots. The Patriots are favored by 2.5, and this is going to be an interesting game. If I can't tell when this is in the day, but if I have time to watch this, I'm going to definitely try to tune in. But the Patriots and the Dolphins. I mean, you got Brian Flores, you got Bill Belichick. They run pretty similar defenses, come from that same tree. Should be a fun game to watch. You got Tua, you got Mac Jones, two Alabama quarterbacks going at it. I'm going to go ahead and roll with the Patriots to win this game. I do think, again, they're favored by 2.5. I think it'll be a close game. And I'll say the Patriots, I would say go ahead and bet against this. I think the Patriots will win by like 1 point. So I don't think they'll get to the 2.5. So go ahead and do what you want with that. Next up, you got the Vikings and the Cincinnati Bengals. Minnesota is favored by 3. I'm the biggest Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, LSU fan. Listen, I have to notice the other guys. They come from LSU. And the thing is, Justin Jefferson is lining up for the Minnesota Vikings. Adam Thielen is lining up there. He's not an LSU guy, but you get the gist. They are lining up some good receivers. And the Bengals are going to line up Eli Apple because I think they have some injuries. So the Bengals are going to have Eli Apple out there covering Justin Jefferson. And Justin Jefferson has proven so far that he can basically ruin a game for you if you have subpar corner play against them. So I do think the Bengals have gotten better on defense, but I don't think that they'll be able to go out there and beat the Vikings just yet. Now they do have a chance at just, matching them score for score, but they just got some struggles on defense. So do the Vikings, but I really think that Eli Apple is not built to cover Justin Jefferson at all. So I'm going to go ahead and say that the Vikings win, and they win by at least the 3 points that they're favored by. Next up, we got the Browns and Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by 6.5, and I think this is your upset of the week. I'm going to pick the Browns to win. I don't know by how much, but I'm going to pick the Browns to win. I think I think this spread is disrespectful. I think the Browns could possibly be one of the better teams in the NFL, one of the top 2 or 3 teams. So just because you're Kansas City doesn't mean that you just deserve a spread that's this wide. So I'm going to pick the Browns to run the football down their throats for most of this game. Baker makes a couple of good plays. I don't think it'll be a bad game for Kansas City, but I do think that the Browns are a real well put together team. And I think they'll go out there and make a statement week 1 that they are here and that they're going to be a team that's going to be competitive throughout the entirety of the year, which is weird because we're talking about the Cleveland Browns. So we got 4 more games to cover here. Let's wrap this up. Denver Broncos, New York Giants. I'm not even going to cover this. I have an entire video breaking that game down. But of course, I'm always going to pick my Giants in these weeks. I mean, it's no fun. But Broncos and New York Giants, going to have a video about that tomorrow coming out. But the Broncos are favored by 3 points, which I think is pretty fair. But, I think this game could go either way. I would pretty much call it a push. But Packers and Saints. The Packers are favored by 4. The Saints, they have a new quarterback. There's a lot of question marks there. And because of all those question marks, I mean, the Saints could be one of the best teams in the league, or they could be, middle of the pack. I don't see them being one of the worst. But I think they could be anything. And just because of that, I'm going to just go ahead and just take Green Bay, take the 4 points they're favored by, and just go ahead and just move on after that. Chicago Bears and Los Angeles Rams. That is, I think, your Sunday night game. If this is in order, I think this is your Sunday night game. The Bears aren't beating the Rams, especially not on Sunday Night Football if this is correct. Rams are favored by 7. The Rams will win by at least 13 points. You can book that. You can book it. The Rams will win by at least 13 points. Baltimore Ravens and Vegas, Las Vegas Raiders. Not Oakland Raiders, Vegas Raiders. To wrap up the week, Baltimore is favored by 4.5. Baltimore will win by at least 7 points this week against the Raiders. I think the Raiders are, again, an underrated team, but I don't think that much will be said for them going against Baltimore. So those are all your games. Hopefully I have some kind of graphic up here, or got the chance to have some kind of graphic up here for every game. It's week 1, people. Hopefully I'm off to a great start. After we see some football, we'll be able to really tell who's who in the zoo and what's going on a weekly basis. But those are my picks for week 1. Hope you guys come back next week And I'll be keeping a record. I'll have a record on the bottom of the screen probably after this first week to keep track of how I'm doing for this entire season. You guys let me know where I went wrong, where I went right, and have a great rest of your day. If you made it this deep into the video, come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.